Some say traditional wax is dead, but much like this homologation hot hatch that embraces attitudes of old, I say wax still has its place in the modern detailing world, so keep it rolling to discover my thoughts on exactly why. So in a world of synthetic sealants, ceramic coatings and now graphene infused protectants, reaching for a traditional pot of carnauba wax is enough to warrant the mickey being taken. But if the success of this GR Yaris has shown anything, it's that potent modern performance mixed with the manual ways of old is just the ticket to get folk suitably hot under the collar. Worlds are now similarly colliding in the detailing sphere as powerful substances like silicon dioxide and graphene are being blended with traditional waxes to provide a means of easily applying something more durable than carnauba alone. So join me as I utilise one of, if not the hottest pound for pound performing cars in the world right now to let you know why I think wax ain't dead. Now, before getting to the waxing whys and wherefores, the potent little Yaris had to be given a thorough wash and wipe down to remove the brake dust, surface splatter and anything else that would get in the way. So the forged BBS wheels and painted calipers were first treated to a multi-stage clean to rid them of any unsightly brake dust, starting with a contactless pre-clean and pre-rinse with the pressure sprayer and pressure washer, before moving on to a gentle but thorough agitation with a few different soft brushes and a wheel mitt. And one thing to note from a cleaning perspective is that the beefy front brakes means there's no room to realistically get any kind of barrel brush past the disc guard at the back, so detail oriented owners might want to look into taking that off. The compact body was then treated to a similar multi-stage clean, starting with the application of a citrus-based traffic film remover to safely break down the heavier road dirt on the lower half of the car, before a snow foam was applied to soften up and lift off any remaining loose contamination from the rest of it, which unfortunately the GoPro chose not to capture, so you'll just have to take my word for it that a thick blanket of Apple iFoam was applied and left to dwell for a few minutes before being rinsed off. Once the car had been thoroughly pre-cleaned, my buckets were filled and frothed in preparation for a good contact wash, which was methodically undertaken with a nice fresh lambswool mitt. And while it's best not to work in the direct sun, if you don't have any choice, then using good quality gentle products will reduce the chance of streaking or spotting if inadvertently left to dry. The glitchy GoPro again failed to record a final rinse following the wash, so had to skip straight to the drying here, which was done with a nice big absorbent dry hard twist loop towel, which made light work of any standing rinse water, but more importantly for a famed YouTube driveway detailer like myself, matched my outfit perfectly. The optional circuit pack wheels were then blown off with the Mini Metro Sidekick to remove any trapped rinse water from the lug nut recesses and brake caliper nooks and crannies, before the shuts were gently tailed off with a clean general purpose item to smarten them up and prevent trapped water from leaking out during the subsequent waxing. But prior to cracking on with that, I had to wipe the panels over with a light isopropyl alcohol mix to remove a handful of unsightly adhesive marks I can only assume were left behind from protective wrapping, so eliminated them along with any other unseen residue on the surface with a damp alcoholic towel. Now, in days gone by I would have reached for a pre-wax cleanser here, but being brand spanking new, the paintwork didn't need any polish or enhancement prep, so just left it at that. Now, while waxes come in various forms, from creamy liquid in a bottle to trigger spray type, I'll be focusing on the traditional paste in a pot kind here, as I reckon that's what most people picture when they think of wax. So, with the car sufficiently washed and wiped down, it was time to lay some down on the new pearlescent white panels and share my thoughts on why I think they still have a place in the modern detailing world. Starting with this Shinecraft hybrid wax from Dodo Juice, which contains a synthetic sealant to help boost shine. So it's best to apply waxes in the shade if you can, but unlike more finicky modern protectants, it is still possible to successfully wax in the sun, providing a bit of common sense is employed, as in my experience they're actually quite versatile and forgiving. Now, a nice foam applicator pad or finger mitt like the one I was using here is a good idea to help evenly spread the paste over the surface, as is a plush towel to help ensure the subsequent residue is removed with relative ease. And because these can both be washed and reused multiple times, it's worth investing in some decent quality ones, as you'll definitely get your money's worth out of them. Paste waxes are incredibly satisfying to use and in my mind are one of the best ways to get to know a car, whereas the application of a modern synthetic sealant or coating is arguably a bit cold and clinical. Also, modern liquid protectants can't readily be seen on the surface directly following application, but the controlled smears of a paste wax are pretty unmistakable and easily allow you to keep tabs on application technique. Due to the fact wax isn't permanent, it can relatively easily be stripped back if needs be. However, once a dedicated coating is cured, you're either in it for the long haul or looking at compounding or even sanding it off if you have imperfections in the finish or change your mind. So for those with commitment issues or who just enjoy trying out new products and so want to be able to directly access their paintwork, waxes allow you to do just that. So once I felt I'd treated about half of the Toyota's type panels with the Shinecraft wax, downed royal plush towels and basics of bling finger applicators, and moved the car into the garage for a shadowy change of scene and to treat the remaining panels with the ceramic and graphene infused turtle wax product. Now, the smooth, abrasive-free formulation of waxes means they don't have to be applied by hand and can instead be gently massaged over the surface by machine, which I thought made sense for at least a few areas here, as this wax is essentially a modern product, so why not use a modern tool to lay it down in perfect uniform fashion? Unlike a lot of liquid protectants whose solvent carriers can kick up a right chemical whiff, paste waxes tend to smell great, which doesn't really mean much for durability and final finish, but does make the process that little bit more pleasant. Waxes also have an exclusive handmade feel to them, and while I only have a few myself at the moment, if I had a unit or nice garage of my own, would definitely have a decent collection of waxes, both old and new, out on display. For me, and I suspect many others, there's nothing quite like the look of a freshly waxed car. Of course, a properly prepped and ceramic coated one is also going to look slick, but there's just something about the natural organic gleam of a traditional carnauba wax that I don't think can be matched by modern synthetic protectants. Much like how a processed digital music file can't really replicate the raw analogue sound a vinyl record produces. Now, while I completely understand why traditional paste waxes may no longer be a realistic proposition for those who prefer to focus on the latest and greatest of everything for their pride and joy, do think these hybrid products that make good use of modern synthesised chemicals can be a great way of introducing people to the benefits of those substances, so shouldn't be sweepingly dismissed, much like how this little pocket rocket should be given the respect it deserves, as despite only being small, still packs an impressive power to weight punch. So if you've never properly waxed a car, I highly recommend giving it a go, as nothing beats the buttery smoothness of a quality paste wax. And if you're not new to the world of waxing but have perhaps been neglecting your organic pots of goodness in favour of more modern liquid-based protectants, then suggest at the next available opportunity dusting off an old favourite, or maybe even treating yourself to a new modern hybrid to remind yourself of the satisfaction that comes from methodically waxing your whip. Now, you don't need to rush out and spunk thousands on a showcase of refillable vintage, as a budget pot of wax can still do wonders for your finish. But whichever protective route you take, let me know your thoughts on both paste waxes and this GR Yaris. Are they perfectly capable of competing with a more potent and powerful competition, or are pots of carnauba and manually driven cars simply relics of the past, destined only to appeal to those too stubborn to move with the times?